Howdy folks. Man, long time no see. I think it's been like a week. I think it's been that long. Kind of lost interest. I mean, I am a man of a lot of hobbies. But I digress. So look, I got a 2007 Honda Accord. Nothing special. I had to do a lot of stuff to this car, and one of the main things I had to do was put a motor in here. This is a 40,000 mile engine. Got it from Keystone LKQ. As always, never fails. I'm always going to get motors from there because I've never had anything go bad. Not advertising for them, but I will say, looks really good. 40,000 miles. I mean, we can't complain. The car has 200,000 miles. I mean, she's practically brand new motor-wise. But I'm not sure as far as the transfer plant of this vehicle is going to be the strongest or the weakest link. More like it's going to be the weakest because that has 200,000 miles on it. Yeah, transmission do. So this car has a pretty interesting story. I might save that for later in the video, but knowing me, you know, I'm going to sit there and talk about it. So reason why I had to put a motor in here started back in 1999 when this car was not made. Honda just so happened to come to North Carolina and start distributing vehicles. But now really what happened, the car had a coolant leak, which I had to replace the heater core. Where's that joker? Here you go. All these parts I replaced that I've never documented. Yeah, the heater core went out. So I put a heater core in there. But that was the middle job I did. So I did the computer first because it didn't run. I needed to move it. Got the computer in there, and I did the video on that. And then I had to replace the let me get it right. I replaced the motor second, then the heater core last. That's what I did. So got the computer in there, got the engine to start back up because the head gases were blown. Because the car ran hot as a result of the heater core leaking, and the computer had to be replaced because of the heater core leaking and getting on the computer. And that's what we got. So the computer got replaced, engine, and then the heater core, and everything's perfectly fine. I did put some other components on here, like a power steering pressure hose while I was out. The easiest access you would ever have to this pressure line. So I just went ahead and took care of that. Got a brand new one on there. And I'm just finishing up the vehicle. I got to put some oxygen sensors on here. They're actually AFI ratio sensors up top. So I just found them. I did tell her that she needed them because there's no activity on bank 1 in the back. So we're just going to simply go through these, put some AFI ratio sensors on here, and just maybe look at some data. I mean, it's basically, I already diagnosed the car, so looking at the AFI ratio voltage, it's just 0. There's really nothing to look at. I'm not going to go through any diagnosing right now, simply because she already got the parts. It was a grocery list of things she already had before the motor had to come out and be replaced. So I'm just going to throw those on there and see what happens. Likely, it's going to fix the problem. But we'll see. If anything happened, you know, I'm going to go back over it, diagnose it, and we're going to fix this like a pro. Now, I can promise you, it's not a computer because we already replaced the computer. The old computer even had issues with an oxygen sensor with no connectivity before that took a shit. Now, the second computer still has that same code, so we can pretty much negate that. So I'm not going to say that the computer is going to be the culprit here. But let's get to it. I'm going to first work on getting this bank 2 out. Maybe bank 1. I like doing the hard stuff first. So let's go ahead and work on bank 1. Probably won't be a bad idea to remove that coil, but I think we're going to be good. I'm going to remove this connector just right underneath you. If I can get it out with these knuckle busters. That don't feel good at all. live up to its name. I just got a 3/8 drive and like a 10-inch extension. Alright, so these are going to be the same part number. It's got an interesting looking head here. It's got notches in there all around the head of the sensor, which is kind of cool. Unlike the old style here, I always wondered if it'll make a difference having the notches strategically placed in the different order. Damn it. Shit. Work on getting this front one out on the left side, left front, right rear. I think that's how I remember it. Thinking I mind getting dirty. I got the I put that anti-seize on it. Hand. It's a lean running mixture right there, ain't it? It's got that red tan color on it. And just that fast. This engine was running for a while when I was looking at data, so it was 180 degrees, but I had to look at a car and take it on a test drive, so it's not that hot. Just I think I can work it in there. All right, cool. So I can try not to get this one stuck. Like I said, these are knuckle busters. I don't know why I just don't throw these away. boring part where we got to look at information. See if I can get this car started up. Now I did access the generic portion. Come on now. Just so I can look at live data, because I didn't feel the need of going to the bidirectional feature. Because I'm under the impression I just needed to see some movement from the sensor, some feedback information. So I can turn this air down if I can remember. Tell you, boy, I'm glad I know how to repair air conditioning. I'll tell you that. We're gonna erase this code here. I can't begin to tell you how much stuff I had to do to this car. Is ridiculous. I've been documenting this vehicle for several more additional hours than what I already had to do with repairs. I should be able to repair. Okay, yeah, I thought I could. Some cars you got to cut off, leave the key on engine off to clear the codes. This is going to be that one, and it should take care of it shortly. Take your time, whenever you get ready. So again, I had to do a lot of stuff to this car. The heater core was not that bad. I could do these heater cores all day. In comparison, I remember that Jeep I did, man, that thing was a pain in the pure ass. I counted 100 bolts, 100 fasteners I had to pull off. So we got long term on one, we got short term on one, which is great. So I don't even have to go down to the actual initial reading of the sensor to see that it's working now, because it stayed in open loop. We're in closed loop on both fuel system status. So we got fuel system status 1 on bank 1, fuel system status 2. They're both into closed loop. Before in open loop status, the calculated load value was 42%. Now it's dropping like it's supposed to. And let's see here. I think once it makes its accommodation, we should be fine. Typically the car's around like 17% calculated load value. I'm not sure why this is just at 37 at the moment. It's still a little high. But all cars aren't exactly the same. Let's go back down. So we got the engine coolant temperature near 180 degrees, near closed loop. Fuel system status on short term is plus 2%, same as bank 2. So bank 1 and bank 2 are reflecting each other, so this is good. Long term is at 0 because I have not went through a drive cycle yet, but initially, as far as static running conditions, what it's doing right now, it seems to be okay. So we're doing something different, going to a negative percentage, so it's taking away 15%. So currently the conditions are running rich, especially with that high calculated load there, so it's starting to make sense, which is not a big deal. The car is making accommodations. So I'll address things as I continue to go along. Intake manifold pressure, it's at 5.37 psi. This is just interpretation from absolute pressure of 14 psi. This is normal. So basically 14 psi will be atmospheric pressure. It's in vacuum mode, so 5 psi is its value. Let's go down. Engine RPM is at 789. No vehicle speed. Ignition advanced timing is 9 degrees. It's a 9.5. Intake air temperature sensor is 120, which is normal. Absolute throttle position 15%, which is normal, about 14 typically. Hold up. Alright. Well, it was different. I had one of my Hispanic neighbors came by. I never met the guy. He needed some used oil. He said his dog, I don't know what engine oil is going to do with the animal, but hey. Said my dog have, issue here. I need to use oil. I think he's going to set the damn thing on fire. I guess we'll find out. I don't know. I thought he would want to use it for setting plant structure on fire. Alright, continuing on. Did we go through, we're currently at negative 2%, which is great. It's below 5%, which is, it's just phenomenal. So this engine is running really, really good, basically. Throttle, we looked at that. All right, short-term fuel trim for sensor 1, bank 2, well, bank 1, sensor 2, which is fine. We got 1.6%. Short-term fuel trim for 2 and 2, bank 2, sensor 2 is 2.2%. Now, some of these just typically just go into a default, and this one's rare where it would have actual accommodations on short term, so that's that's cool. It tries to stabilize the oscillation. So I think from a manufacturer standpoint, I mean I'm not too familiar with the accommodations for the short-term fuel trim on bank 2 sensors or the post-cat sensors, but I mean, honestly, from an emission standpoint and from a manufacturer standpoint, shit, if I can make that sensor stabilize or not produce a frequency where it'll make the cat seem efficient, hey, I'm cool. So let's keep on. So here's our equivalence stoichiometric. Is going to be 1, a value of 1, and we're very close to that, so I'm totally fine with that. That's our bank 1, sensor 1. Before, these were both zeros from lambda value of 1, and then the oxygen sensor current value with the milliamps was 1. So these are 0. That's what they were, but now we have movement, so they were just simply the sensors. And I didn't, even though I didn't document the initial diagnosis, I mean, trust me, from just from experience and past diagnosing with oxygen sensors, aperture ratio sensors, if the computer is going to be the last thing you would replace, I'm already negating that simply because the computer went bad anyway. Got a new computer in here. I mean, it wasn't even the original problem with the sensors, and these are very common to have slow responses or just basically an open circuit. So I'm not worried about diagnosing. Hopefully the information I'm providing will help you out. But again, they were just basically 0. Normally a person would typically just throw a sensor at it. I guess in the future, next time I have some downtime, we'll check the actual wiring integrity sensor value. And even then, if you had to diagnose this first, go to the sensor that's working. Compare the numerical values of bank 1 to bank 2 upstream. They both work the same way. You can't go wrong with taking values from the normal operating sensor. So other than that, this is just just the final replacements of this car. I wish I would have put them on after the fact. I mean, well, when I had the motor out, but I honestly didn't even see these sensors in the back until just now. So we got some movement on bank 1, which fixed the initial problem. I'm not sure if this car has catalytic issues. Let's take a look at the I was going to isolate this. Let's take a look at the movement. Some PID data actually shows the frequency, but even though we're not, let's see if I can get this. So these are 1 second per division. Even though the car is not under a load, it cruising at normal 55, 60 miles an hour speed that typical drive cycles would recommend. The cats may be inappropriate. Let's put it that way. They may be faulty, is what I'm saying. It's lack of a better word. I'm trying to look, analyze, and then talk at the same time here. So typically they're supposed to stabilize just like that. And we did have oscillation. And I was looking at this value here. Let's see if I can. Now I got that little chip right there, and you can see it fluctuating even while at idle. Now, if I was driving, the sensor would heat up a lot more, and that's probably what it is. Maybe it's not completely hot, but it should be. it should be working like it's supposed to, but you know, I would prefer this to be a lot more stabilized. So likely this car is going to have some catalytic issues. But normally when I service vehicles that have actual legitimate catalytic converter problems, they will oscillate at idle. But then again, it'll oscillate at normal driving conditions. Those are testing conditions. So anyway, I'm just talking around for the mouth. So look, this car's done. We just went through some basic repairs, nothing special. And again, this car just has some had just no connectivity, no activity on a bank 1 sensor. Simply to change the sensor. The let's see here, the PID data, like I said, it just showed 0 values for the initial values. I mean, this is something basic. I mean, simple diagnosis on this car also, you can simply swap those two sensors. They're literally the same part number. So, I mean, this is a 2007 Honda Accord. Just swap them. You know, if it works, just put a new sensor on it. If it don't, then, you know, we're going to have to check some wiring integrity. This lady already had sensors. Long story with this car. Long story. And like $4,000+ later. Put it that way. But anyway, hit that link. Subscribe to the channel. Stay informed. Have that reassurance on my work. See you on the next one.